Hello and welcome to Witness. I'm Raghi Omar. The former Yugoslavia was a short-lived country. It came into being in 1945 under the leadership of a partisan fighter by the name of Josip Broz Tito. Tito dreamed of a united Balkan nation, but as soon as Tito died, his dream for Yugoslavia began to unravel. The 1990s saw the region plunged into war and hundreds of thousands of people died. A decade after the conflict, Bosnia has begun the long and difficult process of reconciling former enemies whilst also trying to prosecute those responsible for war crimes. Nerma was rounded up by Serb forces in a typical ethnic cleansing operation. For Muslims, this often ended in rape and murder, but Nerma and her family managed to escape their fate. Nerma now runs a campaign to track down war criminals and bring them to justice. Lode Desme brings us her story.
Who said I'm traumatized? Me? I don't think I'm traumatized. I'm still at the stage of denial of trauma. I don't think I'm traumatized, really. I don't think I should. I don't think I should deserve to be labeled as somebody who's gone through traumatic experiences and therefore may need help or attention, compared to hundreds of thousands or millions of other people who've gone through much worse things.
Between 1992 and 1995, a war raged in Bosnia that caused the deaths of more than 100,000 people. Nerma was one of the lucky ones who managed to escape. She spent 10 years in London, where she studied journalism. Just as her career was taking off, she decided to come home on a mission. Bosnia had recently begun to bring those responsible for the atrocities that took place during the conflict to justice. Nerma came back to keep a close watch on that process.
There are over 30 war crimes trials ongoing before the War Crimes Chamber in the court of Bosnia and Herzegovina in Sarajevo. Majority of the people who are being tried are not as famous as those that appeared before the Hague Tribunal. However, that doesn't make them any less important. They didn't mastermind the murders, they committed them. They are mid to low-ranking officers with blood on their hands. I founded war crimes news agency here in Sarajevo called Justice Report. A number of girls work with me and they go to the court every day and report on these trials to the media and to the wider public. We have become known as the watchdog of war crimes justice in Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Nerma and her team follow and document every trial. They also prepare and research upcoming court cases, going back to villages where war crimes have taken place and gathering evidence, a team of volunteers for the prosecution. Nerma's justice reports quickly earned a reputation for dogged objectivity, but digging into Bosnia's recent past didn't always make them popular.
What was that?
Carla Del Ponte was having press conference and they're asking me, will we ever see the Karadzic and Mladic in prison?
How does it make you feel to have become the authority in your field?
What's the authority in my field? I don't see myself as such. I suppose I'm just actually, to tell the truth, it makes me sad. Because this is a country that has seen so many crimes committed on such a small area in such a short period of time. And after a conflict in a country like that, you would expect to have a number of individuals, of people, come out and wanting to fight for justice. And in Bosnia you don't.
Nerma was 15 when she fled Bosnia with her family. They got out at the beginning of the war, before the worst massacres happened. Nerma, her parents and her brother made a narrow escape. Many others were not so lucky.
In April '92, the tensions rose, the arms came out, houses in villages started burning in the middle of the night, people were taken for questioning, etc. And then one night we went up in the mountains where we had our holiday home, and my father inherited some land, and I don't know, and some village was there. My fireplace is gone. That was the fireplace. And I used to sunbathe in this balcony. It was night, and then you could hear just this, like masses of feet running from the dark, from that area towards here. So we woke up and we saw like hundreds of people. And then in the distance, the houses that were there were burning. And they said the soldiers were coming and burning and killing people, so we came out and went into the forest. And then we were hiding in the forest. Eventually the soldiers obviously tracked us, a few hundred people in a small forest. Tracked us down, surrounded us, took us down to the main road by the river, and from there transported us to the stadium. And on the stadium divided men from women.
Nerma and her family were Muslims. The soldiers belonged to the former Yugoslav army, the JNA, and were mostly Serbs. This chilling process was repeated many times throughout the Balkans, as ethnic cleansing became a euphemism for mass murder.
Men on one side, and boys and women, and the young children on the other side. I was 15 and I was thinking they wanted to count best way how many men there were and how many children, how many women. What happens when the soldiers divide men from women? They usually take the men and shoot them. At that point, a helicopter came and landed here. And a JNA colonel came out and he said, "I'm Colonel Jovanovic and I'm putting this town under my control, and you have to let these people go, and everyone has to go back home." And they let us go, and we went back to our townhouse where we stayed for a while.
Now, it sounds almost unbelievable. That day, a Serb general saved Nerma, her family, and the Muslim population of Visegrad. In the weeks and months to come, many other Muslims all over the country wouldn't be so lucky.
There are many situations that with hindsight you realize you're supposed to be dead. I don't know, maybe I should ask the psychologist. I suppose it's called survivor's guilt.
On her return to Bosnia, Nerma settled in the capital Sarajevo. She didn't go back to live in her birthplace, Visegrad. That had become impossible. Now, only Serbs live in her town. A Serb family lives in her old house.
Can you see your house from here?
You can see a part of it. So where the pink one is, you can just make out the balcony. That's my room. So I'll watch it with happiness, disdain, or sadness. It was my town. It was small, but it was just enough for me and for my childhood. It was almost 70% Muslim. It was about 30% Serb.
And now?
And now it's about 99.9% Serb.
What are you thinking now?
No, I was just thinking of that group of friends, and you know, at that age, 14, 15, how you think you just have the group and you are the best, and you know, we are the Beverly Hills of Visegrad. 90210. There are very few pictures that remind me of my life before the war. On this one, I'm a child in 1977, and my father is holding me in the front yard of our house. And here I'm about 3 years old, chewing my fingers.
How come you have so few pictures left?
The pictures stayed behind when we fled Visegrad. And these, and a couple of others that are at my parents' place, we collected from other friends to whom we used to give these photos as presents, because the ones we had didn't survive the war. I wish, you know, I could say that, I mean, so many people, especially writers, say that, you know, the voices from the mass graves are loud and clear, but they're not. Yes, the bodies may tell you the story, but the bodies may tell you the story of how these people died. I don't hear anything at the mass graves. You have the bodies intermingled, and sometimes you can make out one from another. You get an idea of how one life ended, but you don't get the story of how he or she lived before, when he was born. Did his father send him to buy cigarettes and beer when the friends would gather, you know, to sit under the plum tree in the summer evening? But I hear silence. And I don't want it to be the silence.
Like many Bosnians, Nerma is haunted by her country's recent past. But how do you come to terms with such barbarity in a Europe which sees itself as civilized? We'll be back after the break to see if it's possible.